Hello, what's good my brothers and sisters? Welcome to my review for Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 240. Yes, we are back to full weekly reviews, and today, as most of you already know, this is a insane chapter. This chapter focuses on the clown, the comedian, and everyone's favorite funny man, Fumihiko Takaba. It is definitely an interesting read, but this chapter has a lot of important details for us to go over, so let's hop right into it. Alright, we start off today's chapter with our main cast of sorcerers discussing their plan to ambush Kenjaku before Gojo's battle with Sukuna is over. So this is a flashback. For their initial plan, even if they defeat Sukuna, it won't mean anything if Kenjaku succeeds in the ultimate merger of humankind and Tengen. Hakari finally brings up a very good point that because of rule number 14, Kenjaku has to kill off every remaining player besides Gero Suguru and Megumi Fushiguro for the Koen game to end, and he needs the Koen games to end in order to enact the merger. So Yuta mentions that there's nothing to worry about since Hakari Senpai and I are among the players, so if they were fighting Sukuna, then Kenjaku cannot complete the merger anyway. Low-key, it's very interesting to hear Yuta so confident that A, that himself or others will live after fighting Sukuna, or B, that they will be good enough to fight Kenjaku after they battle Sukuna, because Kusakabe is being quite a realist in his inner thoughts, as he says even if they won against Sukuna, all the players from their side would get wiped. He thinks Miwa and the others won't join in on the fight, so there's no point in bringing that up now and being all Mr. Negative. I must say it's a shame on Kusakabe for downplaying our God King Miwa. By now, you know, everyone should know she solos the verse. But then the sorcerers think, what if Gojo loses and Kenjaku ambushes them? Because at that point, it would be too much to take on while they're busy with Sukuna. So now Kusakabe recommends sending an assassin to eliminate Kenjaku, and Maki is their best bet for a surprise attack. However, they cannot split their forces before fighting Sukuna, and they cannot just send anyone unreliable as an assassin, so even grade 1s like him and Meimei would not be up for it. Even Meimei knows firsthand that Kenjaku is a serious threat, so grade 1s might as well be like fodder from here on out, especially against Kenjaku or Sukuna. However, Angel mentions that they can send Fumihiko Takaba, and everyone thinks that Takaba is complete nonsense. Even Kusakabe remembers when his clothes just suddenly fell off in front of everyone. Takaba isn't reliable, he's a joke. However, Angel knows about his curse technique and understands that there can be bad influences imposed upon it. So what she discloses next cannot be shared with anyone, even Takaba himself, because his curse technique is... We then cut to Takaba, and as usual, he is being all silly and toonish and funny, yet Gero's curse spirit manipulation has absolutely no effect. Comedian is rejecting the curse technique, and Takaba proclaims that Kenjaku cannot win against him, as he thinks it's funny just to give Kenjaku an American bandana and sunglasses. He actually looks like Bandit Keith from Yu-Gi-Oh! But then Kenjaku finally realizes that this player's curse technique can create any phenomena from his imagination. So all of his 1000 plus years of Jujutsu knowledge will not actually work on Takaba, which is insane for Kenjaku to actually admit. However, no matter what the technique is, there is always going to be a weakness to exploit. Takaba introduces himself as a comedian from the group Nabe Nabe, and he boasts that in last year's P1, he advanced all the way to the first round, and the show he's talking about is known for being funny because of just how bad their performance is. Kenjaku entertains Takaba's attempt at a joke, as even an average person can get past the first round, and based on what he knows, he can see that Takaba is also a man who appreciates comedy, so he really is from Nabe Nabe. Kenjaku recognizes Takaba's humor, and now Takaba understands that this guy also likes comedy. So when Takaba asks him about why Kenjaku keeps killing sorcerers and is about to end the world with the merger, naturally Kenny just keeps saying because it looks interesting. So Takaba wants to spark his interest, and if there's something even more interesting, then maybe he won't have to do all of this. And Kenjaku actually ponders on that, and literally when Takaba sees that expression is written all over his face, it's actually written all over his face. Then Takaba does his signature none of your business gag on him, and it doesn't really impress Kenjaku. As a fellow comedian, a pro even, as Kenjaku mentions, he really does understand the meaning of the joke. It's a gag having to do with a play on words using Wi-Fi or the internet, but for people watching a movie at home, the joke won't translate well. Kenjaku mentions a better gag where Haranishi-san says, if you pull out the spine, you can't stand straight. In this joke, there's a clear setup and a punchline that makes it kind of funny. Takaba's none of your business gag has no setup, so it can't be conveyed right. It's like just saying, I can't stand straight from the example that Kenjaku just mentioned. And we see that Kenny's logic bothers Takaba because he's a fellow comedian that actually understands him, yet his jokes don't land. There's even a little scene where Kenjaku is in an audition setting and Kenjaku is reviewing Takaba and finds that he's very self-conceited and he should be a bit more aware of his audience. Finally, Kenjaku hits Takaba hard in the gut and gets a good reaction out of him because his curse technique was weakened. The technique's activation condition is the confidence and conviction of the sorcerer himself. Takaba is enraged that an amateur like Kenny pretends to be an expert, but if his jokes are funny to others except him, then it doesn't really matter. However, Takaba just admitted that his jokes weren't funny, which makes him even more frustrated. Takaba then wants to do a face-making contest to see who can make each other laugh first, but when they make funny faces, Takaba is the one who laughs, to which Takaba is sent flying from Kenjaku's punch. Takaba wonders how is he funnier than me, and reasons that Kenjaku is actually kind of funny in his own way, remarking his appearance. It still makes him feel like laughing, however none of his own jokes are any fun. There are two types of comedians, ones who are funny and ones who think that they are funny. I think that's Takaba, but seeing the harsh reality of Takaba's buddy Hazanoki on the ground dead, and it's just real and in the moment, Takaba realizes that there isn't anything funny about this situation at all. Clearly, Takaba is shook, and Kenjaku tells him to laugh it off because he's a comedian after all. But how can he? Doing comedy with him is no fun at all, and if we don't laugh, how can the audience laugh? No, in fact, why is Takaba a comedian in the first place? The chapter ends with Kenjaku breaking the mood and violating the blood-red taboo. What will our Mr. Comedian do this time? This chapter was very intriguing. I'd like to bring out that Takaba was obviously chosen for a reason. His curse technique can actually defeat Kenjaku, but right now he's going through quite a rough patch because his confidence is shaking as an entertainer. And if he cannot bounce back, then Kenjaku will take his life. So unless Gege just wanted to waste our time with two redundant chapters leading to Takaba's defeat and death, then I actually feel like Takaba should probably recover his confidence and get his second win back. Takaba can beat Kenjaku's power, however he cannot overcome his will. He needs to look past this fear or this taboo because Kenjaku will kill and he's comfortable in that environment, but Takaba wants to bring smiles. So in a sense, Takaba has to get past a tough crowd. Yuta or Maki swooping in to save Takaba is fine, but Takaba should have had a bit more of a role to play considering his curse technique. Obviously, Kenny is not losing to a clown, but they have to do something, right? We are in the end game of JJK right now. Our main cast is engaging Sukuna and Kenjaku, two of our major antagonists in the series, and they cannot just focus on one without the other causing problems. So we're in a bit of a very tough situation. But let me know how you guys feel about the change in pace with the chapter down below, considering right now we are missing Yuji versus Sukuna greatness, and instead we see Kenjaku killing fodder and fighting a clown. Maybe I wouldn't mind it as much if the hype carried through from previous chapters and didn't just halt, and now we're slowly building that back up again. I guess that's a good thing for some people, but I really was not vibing a lot with this chapter. It was just kind of okay to me, but it's probably a better read in a binge rather than just week to week. I really hope Takaba can show us something next chapter, or another person intervenes in this battle or helps in some way, but I can confidently say that now that we're here fighting Kenjaku, I have no clue where we are going next with this, but I guess that's really kind of the charm with Gege Akutami, right? Anyway, you brothers and sisters take care. This has been Enemy Stand User here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.